Well, the weather is beautiful. I've got a nice long, well, normal weekend ahead of me, and I need to wire this garage because one outlet, ungrounded, 15 amp, hooked up to a 20 amp breaker, no bueno. And we got to finally resolve this little extension cord that runs my garage door opener. And someday we'll be getting a new garage door opener. Anyway, so yeah, we got to do something about that. That's just not cool. I want to put an outlet here. I'm going to do a double outlet here or here, but probably here. And I want to put an outlet by the air compressor, and I want to put a GFI right there. That'll kind of be the center point for the garage nervous system. Got to put an outlet up here as well for the garage door opener. These are things that have to be done. No bullshit. So right now we've got one outlet, one light running off the kitchen, and it's also serving the breezeway. So we're actually not running one 12-2, but we're also running a 14-2. That 14-2 is going to divorce the breezeway from the garage, and it's going to go into this outlet box here. It's the breezeway. So we're kind of killing two stones with one bird here. Shit's getting real. I have to do what I have to do. That's pretty much how it is. So, nevertheless, this outlet, not much I'm going to do about that. That's going to stay where it is. It's a switched outlet. This is actually a switched outlet. I'd love to run a new wire, use it as a junction box, and run a wire up the wall into the attic space here so I can have a switched light up here, but baby steps. So, what are we doing? Well, let's go downstairs. Excuse the mess. Okay, so I've got two spools of wire. I've got a 12-2 that'll be run for the garage. It'll be the garage home run. That's because I'm doing a 20 amp breaker on the garage. And the 14-2 is for the breezeway. It doesn't, not really anything going on in there that requires any real amperage. So we're just going to do I'm going to kill some of this 14-2 that I bought when I moved into the house. And that's going to run up here through this hole. Now this existing cable is a 12-3, and that goes to the kitchen. It's funny, you know, in the 50s it was okay to run your entire house off of one breaker or one circuit, but that's not okay anymore because we use electricity now more than we ever did before. So that's the chaseway that I made back when I put these cabinets and this microwave and stuff in, which is in this closet. Now when this is all done, said and done and finished, I'm going to build a nice box around this chaseway, so it'll be all nice and pretty. So let's go upstairs. Of course, it requires a little bit of ladderage to get up here, but here we are in my attic, and you can see that it's all pink. I did this insulation earlier in the winter, and what a money saver that was. Oh my God. So, you can see right now there's daylight coming in that way. That's because the guy doing my roof cut in the soffit vent over there, and he's in the process of finishing that up. Ooh, it's so hot up here. It's 74 up here. Anyway, so here's where the wires come out. And they go under the floor, so you can see that. So, just pull these up. I've got a snag here. I'm going to figure out what that snag is. And I'm going to use the camera to figure it out, because it's vexing me right now. It's the 12 gauge wire. And it's snagging on something. Oh, I see. I see. Yeah. I'll say that's a problem. It's snagging on... Is that a nail? No. Just a splinter. Looks like it might have penetrated the insulation too. Well, let me see what I can do about that. Short of ripping up the floorboard. I'm almost there too. Well, not quite. I have to go the length of the breezeway too. Well, some of you might be wondering, it's 2019. It's only a matter of time before you end up owning an electric car, and you're right. 100% hit the head on the nail there. But the thing is, I understand that logic, get it, 110%. But the thing is, if I ever do get an electric car, and it's only a matter of time. I mean, I don't plan on leaving this house anytime in my lifetime. Figure I have a good 30, 40 years left, statistically, based on family history. And the thing is, stay. The thing is, if I ever do get an electric car, I'm not going to waste my time with 120 volt charging. What I will end up doing is having a 250 volt or 240 volt circuit installed. Alright, so is the wire damaged? This is where it was, yeah, this is where it got caught. And no, it looks like it came awfully close. It did nick the insulation a little bit. Well, maybe what we'll do is we'll run that wire a little bit longer and nick that off. See if it happens again. Yeah. So, there's this. Not much I can do about that. It's that same thing. Look at that. Yeah. I'll just have to feed it by hand, push it up, pull it out, push it up, pull it out. Not much else I can do. So we're at a point now. I'm going to try to run a little more, and then we'll dress it up. I'm going to put it alongside the existing kitchen line and then carry it over. That's what I'll do. But I got to worry about that now. Yay. Okay. Well, we're moving quite along here, so let's take a little look out, see what's going on in that garage. Maybe grab a snack after. So, what we got going on here? So this was the hardest part of the job. I had to squeeze my 175-pound body through this 16 on center. This is probably like 14-inch opening here to here. And I had to squeeze and crawl all the way to the end of the wall there, grab my wire, and pull it back. Then I had to find the ladder with my feet blindly on the way back down. Yay. But we did it. Let's take a look. See, I had a question regarding the construction of this house that nobody could answer, but I found the answer that I was expecting. Was the breezeway in the garage built during the house's construction as part of the original plan, or was it an afterthought? And I've determined that the correct answer is yeah, this was all built as part of an original plan. This was not an afterthought. And there are some clues to this. Number one, if the breezeway was added later on, the roof and all that, there would be nail holes straight ahead on the exterior sheathing of the house. There would be nail holes there. There's not one nail hole. Like where they had pulled the siding off. No such thing. Secondly, was the garage built and then the breezeway added? Well, we've already answered that. But there would be nail holes on the other side of these studs. And there is not one nail hole, indicating that the sheathing was later torn off to open this up. So, turns out that this is all part of the original house. I've got a borehole here. This is what they did. This is bad because I'm going to put drywall up. You actually really want drywall on this wall. The drywall acts as a fire block. And so we're going to take all the surface mounted wire and we're going to bore a hole through here and all the way around wherever there's a wire poking through. I'm going to need one there too. So I'm going to get my paddle bit ready and we're going to start boring some holes. Okay. I've got enough wire to make both runs. And alright. So here's the plan, Stan. The 12-2 is going to go into this box. And it's going to be terminated. There's going to be a GFI outlet here. And that's going to go back up, just as it does now. It's going to go back up. And it's going to feed the, that light switch over there for the garage. It's also going to feed, it's going to go one leg over and down. Will be an outlet box over there. It's going to return back up, go over to the bench where it will terminate over there. The 14-2 is going to come down into this box. That's where it terminates. Currently, it goes down and up because it's part of the garage circuit. We're not doing that. We're divorcing the garage from the breezeway from the house. Each a separate entity. But the hard part's done. That was the hard part. Now at this point, we have to go up into the attic and we have to dress this up. We've got to move the wire away from the floored portion of the attic and staple it down. Pretty fun actually when you need to do with that. Yeah, so anyway, let's pull this out. Is that all we're gonna need? Well, let's see. I think I'm gonna need some more. I want to make sure I have enough wire for incidentals. I don't want to make this run again. Nobody wants to do that. There's still room for more wire, fortunately. But yeah, getting back to the electric car debate, that will happen someday. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. I'm going to time that with a service panel upgrade. So I'm going to get a new panel professionally installed down in the basement. And then I'm going to run, I'll probably have it done externally, I probably run a dedicated, feed line from the meter all the way to the garage or whatever they have to do to make that happen. And I'll have it probably done externally, bury the line, just do it that way. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. That's a ways away. Right now I have money to do this and only this, because I have a lot of other things I've got to do that are more important than an electric car that I don't even own. So, okay, well, I think the next time we catch up, I'll be buttoning up the garage, maybe running the wire in the garage. I really just wanted to get these home runs done today at a minimum. It's really humid up here. But yeah, I wanted to get that done because that was like just one of those chores I just don't want to do, but I have to do it. All right, well, the run on the basement side is done and terminated. Normally, I think you're supposed to terminate the the destination rather than the source first, but this is my panel. This panel is a mess. It embarrasses me even showing this. Most of the work, obviously, I didn't do, but the messier ones are the ones that were done by the previous owner. It's not beautiful by any by any stretch, but yeah, it's not pretty. Like, for example, They cut that off. This is a 12-3, and they cut off the unused conductor. I guess that's not cool. I capped them off. I forgot to cap this. I did these two. I got to cap that off. So, you know, a little bit of little information for those of you homeowners who have never worked on a breaker box or your home's electrical nerve center. So let's go over a couple of things. So you've got, in the US, we have 120 volts. It's actually 240 split up into two phases, 1 and 2. And so these two are hot. If I touch either of these wires, I will be knocked on my ass. If I live. Chances are I would, but if you touch both of them at the same time, it sends you to God, if you believe in that sort of thing. Okay, so that little twisted ball of wire behind it, that's actually your neutral. And this bar right here, this is your neutral bar. Those are the white conductors. If you touch this, you should not feel it, because it's supposed to be on the same level as ground, which is this bar over here. So anyway, these two are hot. This one in the middle is neutral, and this is your ground. So the third pin on your outlets, don't stick things in outlets, but your third pin goes here. The small pin, that's your hot pin. That goes to one of these buses here. And the big one, that's your neutral, that goes to the neutral bus. Pretty simple. Okay, so if you want to run a circuit for 120 volts, which is most of your household circuits, you're going to run one hot lead to one side of either side of this hot bar, and that'll be your black wire. Now let's say you want a 240 volt, let's say you've got a dryer, a water heater, or whatever. You're going to actually run two hots. So for example, if you have this wire here, this has got a white, neutral, black, hot, and a red. That could be your second hot, or it could be a traveler wire in the case of a two-way switch or three-way switch. But in many cases, that's for like a low-powered 240 volt outlet, you could use that third conductor would go to the other side. So you'd have two breakers, or you could have a breaker that actually ties off to both bars. That's always doable. So one breaker, like you'd have like a double breaker here, and one breaker would reach off to the other side, to this side. So, of course, 120 and 120 is 240. So this is two phases. That's how that works. In a three-phase circuit, you would have three hot bars. Actually, I've never worked on it. I'm not an electrician, so I don't really know how that's all wired up. But anyway, that's just a kind of crash course in what is in your breaker box and what will kill you. These black wires or these conductors here, if the breaker is on, those are live. If you touch that, you will be electrocuted, and you're going to get the full force of 120 volts right into the arm. Look at that. Looks like that wire has gingivitis. Nice. So I actually put in 3 or 4 breakers. I forget which ones I did. These 3 here. These I bought. I put these in. I put in 220 amps and a 10 amp. I'm sorry, not a 10 amp, 15 amp. The 15 amp is obviously for my breezewave run. I have one unused breaker left. This is called a tandem breaker. A duplex breaker. I forget. It's either tandem or duplex. And what it is, it's actually 2 breakers in one. These are they also call them, I guess, cheater breakers. Because if you run out of space in your panel, you can buy one of these. It'll take the place of one breaker, but it gives you 2. So one of these is for my garbage disposal. The other one, and dishwasher. The other one, I forget what it's for. It's labeled on the door, though. And this, of course, is your main disconnect. This is your 100 amp breaker. I need a new panel. This panel is now full. There's really not much more I can do with it, and it's just not more. I'm not going to just replace. In some instances, you can replace most of these with tandem breakers, but it's not recommended and not always supported depending on your panel and when it was built. But you can see I try to make my runs nice and crisp. Like I made some nice sharp bends on the wires and tried to neaten it up. But it's just in this particular disaster of a breaker box, it's just not cool. It's not pretty, and it never will be. I know some electricians who can do some real nice work. It looks nothing like this. This is actually a combination of unlicensed work from previous homeowners. And in New Hampshire, as a homeowner, you don't need a license. You can do this. You can do your own wiring. But in some towns, some cities, you need a permit. But I've lived in many towns where you don't even need a permit to build a house. So it's like New Hampshire is kind of a mixed bag. But yeah, so this is what I've got for a box, and I use these press-in these things here. They're called snap lock knockout plugs. Yeah, for non-metallic cable. Those are. Yeah, those are worth their weight in gold. I don't like the ones that I have to thread in because, I mean, this is how they normally are. You thread them in, you tighten them up. I just find these to be easier to work with. You just pop them in and they stay there. And then you just tighten around them. But yeah, it's kind of a mess. And you've got, especially in old work, you've got like these boxes here. I've got one there, one there. What they actually did is they, rather than rerun the home run from the panel to the there used to be a fuse box here, and what they would do is they would just, instead of rerunning an entire home run, they would just pop in, because they couldn't stretch the cable over here. They don't have a cable stretcher strong enough for that. So I'm going to be working on rerunning some of that stuff. I want this whole wall to be grounded, so I'm going to run. I've already done one outlet. That's where my TV is, and I'm going to do another one. Where the next, I think it actually. So it goes from. It's really messed up. So they've got the run that goes to the living room outlets. There's 3 outlets. It goes to this outlet and down, and then it goes to this light fixture over there. Yeah, and then back to the wall, and then back to the light fixture again, and then it goes across the room. It's just, ugh. Anyway, I think I'm ready to button this up. I'm not ready to turn these on because clearly my other end isn't done yet. So if I turn these on right now, there's a really good chance it could throw a breaker immediately. I don't know. I don't think there's a short, but yeah. So I'm going to quickly interject here. So the cover's back on. I'm filming this later. What I failed to do was explain how these breakers physically connect to 1 or 2 phases. It's actually quite simple. So if you could kind of visualize what's behind these breakers themselves, what they're clipped into. So each breaker is clipped into a bus. There are 2 buses for 2 phases. One phase is 120 volts, and the other phase is 120 volts, and you combine the two to 240. Right, got it. Okay, so how does that work? How does that actually work? So you've got these single pole breakers. They're called single pole breakers. These breakers clip into one of either bus. Now, let's say you had a panel that had all the electrician put all the breakers on one side of the panel. You would be thinking that, well, that means that everything is on one phase and there's one unused phase. Unless you were to take some of those breakers and put them on the other side, then you'd be using 2 phases. It'd be split. The house's load would be split between the 2 phases. Not true. So the way they design these boxes is that you have 2 kind of interwoven buses. They don't touch. If they did, that would be horrible. but they're kind of intertwined into each other. So you've got like little middle fingers. Now, this side is served by both phases, and this side is served by both phases, and they alternate. Okay, so this breaker and this breaker are not on the same phase. This breaker is on this phase, and this breaker is on this phase. Because the way they intertwine them, the best thing I could do is tell you to go Google an image of an empty breaker box, and you'd actually see what I'm talking about. Now, how you get 240 volts out of one breaker, like this double breaker here, the double pole breaker, this is for an electric stove, or this one over here, which is for my water heater. These actually clip into two side by side, two bus clips side by side, meaning that it's pulling from both sides because they are alternating. Does that make any sense? Am I clear at all? I don't think so. I think this is still a little bit hard to explain because I'm not visualizing and not giving you good visuals, but I'm trying to explain it as best I can. So each breaker, so this one and this one are on the same phase, and this one and this one and this one. But these two, or this one, this one, this one, and this one, these are not on the same phase. Does that make any sense? So this one is on the same phase as this one, which is on the same phase as this one. Good. Here's another one, a double pole breaker. It puts out 240 volts. What does it feed? My dryer. So there you go. And the main breaker, obviously, is on both phases. Good? Good. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I clarified that because it's something that might be a little bit confusing, and it's ingenious how they design these breakers. So if you were to, let's say you wanted to have the whole house in one phase and leave the other phase doing nothing, you could populate this breaker, this breaker, this breaker, this breaker, this one. You know, you could do that, but that would be stupid. So don't do that. All right, moving along. Good morning. Good morning. It's actually like freaking 10 o'clock. But I can't wake up to save my life. Good morning. Good morning to you. Okay. We gotta get to work. Right? You gonna help? You gonna help me? No? Okay, fine. So today's order of business, I've got to finish this run. I'm gonna get my drill out. We're gonna drill boom, 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 boom. Go down that way to this box. That is our plan for today. Okay, get the garage door open. My gas-powered garage door. All right, choke on. Put some downward force on that, maybe. In the oven. Might have to take this car for a ride today. It really needs to be driven. There's no snow in the, well, there is snow on the ground, but pretty much at the end of the snow season. I mean, I would say that we are absolutely at the end of snow season. Whew. A little chilly. Yeah, this thing just needs to be driven. The idle's starting to come down a little bit. Little bit at a time. There we go. In reverse, here we go. Back straight out, and I shouldn't hit anything. Let it warm up. Okay, with the exception, I gotta put a staple right there, but with that exception, the garage outlet circuit is done. Junction box capped and terminated, and the final box here. So this gives me definitely a nice healthy supply of power out here that I will definitely make use of. So let's go ahead and turn the breaker on, see if I done screwed up. Got that plugged in there, so I don't need to run that on the gas generator anymore. Okay. Okay, so number 18 garage. That's this one here. That's a 20 amp breaker. If it throws it immediately, we know there's a problem. I think we're good. Now, sometimes on GFI circuits, the first time power is applied, it will throw the breaker, or it'll throw the GFI. That happened here. That always happens. I don't know why that is. But when this is thrown, it shuts off the entire garage. Every outlet shuts off because it's all run through here. Okay, so we should have power at the garage door opener. Yes, we do. Now that, when I replace the garage door opener, that'll be dressed up. I'm going to reinforce some of this as well. So the garage door opener works. We should have power at the air compressor now. That's awesome. We got power at the bench, I'm sure. Let's plug in the old bench grinder. So no more running extension cords willy-nilly. Plug it in over here. There we go. Let's test both out. Let's make sure they work. So clear prop. Harbor Freight quality, gotta love it. You know that? I'm gonna probably buy a real bench grinder and maybe donate this one to Goodwill or something because what a pile. But look at that. Okay, bench grinder works. We got all. I haven't tested that outlet, but I'm pretty sure it works too. I don't think I have anything to plug in over there right now. Oh wait, I have a radio, right? I don't have the power cord for that. The power drill. Use the power drill. Ooh, a light. There it is. Okay, let's see if this light works. You always want to, double check it work. Make sure. Yep, it works. I got light. I got power. What I should do though is run around with one of those ground loop connector thing or ground testers. and it checks for voltage and ground and plug it into every outlet. That's a smart idea. I should do that right now. I just want to get this nailed down, and then I might start on my lighting circuit, because I have to do that too. But I haven't quite figured out where I'm going to put my other two lights. It's getting kind of cold. We had a nice warm Saturday, but Sunday not so much. It's actually quite chilly in here right now. My motivation has gone down substantially. But all the hard work is done. We've got at least a functional 20 amp circuit out here for tools and things. So if I have to work out here, I can, and that's always helpful. But as for lighting, I don't really know what I want to do. I mean, I have an idea, but I mean, it's just the real problem is there's just not enough support structure up here for light placement. So I have to add to that. I got to do construction work before I can do that. But what I might do for now is I might just wire in that 4-foot LED light, and then I actually picked up two bearable, like the one that we had here. I picked up two more of those, and I'm thinking of putting them up, for now. Maybe put one up here and one over there. That might be an option too. But I want to really think about this, make sure I know what I want to do before I do it, because I don't want to waste my time and money and efforts. So, all right. Well, today was an action-packed day. We put some miles on the old Miata, and I wired up everything. So, we've got lights in. Here's what I ended up doing. I put one bare bulb fixture there and there, and a 4-foot LED shop light. These fixtures have LED bulbs in them, so it's all LED all the way. All right, let's go flip the breaker. I still need to replace this switch and this cable. That's on the to-do list. That'll be done pretty soon, actually. And it turns out I bought the wrong switch. I didn't buy a 3-way, I bought a one-way, so. All right. So we're going to fire up this old 15 amp breaker. Here we go. Okay, no sparks, no pops. Oh, I just turned it off. Wait. Ha, wrong one. Dumbass. Here we go. Okay, as long as it doesn't click. You shouldn't have any short circuits in there. Let's see if we have lights. Here we go. Oh my God, it's like the sun. Wow, that's bright. Look at that. Wow, that is so bright. Yeah, we went from having nothing but a single bulb right in the middle to now having two bulbs and a 4-foot shop light. So that's plenty of power, that's plenty of light. That's nice. That is so nice. And these are out of the way, so the door can be open or closed and it won't affect anything. I have two more of these shop lights. I think I'm going to put one. I'm going to put the other one over here at some point. And but I got to finish stapling some wires. I had to run out. I had to buy more staples. I ran out, so I have to tack up a few leads.